This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. In a world where there's 100, 1,000, hundreds of thousands of different choices for, pedals out there, why would you end up with a Vox signature Joe Satriani pedal? That's the question that I kind of had. And when my buddy from up the road, Tony, who the Ibanez GS 1200 I borrowed off of him, he said that, I've been looking for these pedals for a while, and he's finally got the full set. He brought them when we were handing back some gear to one another, and he said, do you want to check these out? And I said, okay, let's go for it. Now, if you don't know what these are, these were basically about 14-ish years ago, 14 to 16 years, signature pedals that came out, Joe Satriani Vox collaboration, which is a little bit strange, right? Because you kind of think of him as more of a Marshall guy, but Vox have, effects pedals, of course, as well. The Satchurator is probably the one you're more likely to have heard of. This is like a modded DS1 sort of vibe. The Ice 9 is sort of like a modded SD1 type of vibe. So both pedals that Joe has used on his board, more so the DS1 I think is a staple of him and Steve Vai. And then the Time Machine, which is basically a digital delay with a tap tempo and a direct dry out. So somewhat reminiscent there of a Boss DD3 and probably fairly similar as well. They're all made in Japan, which is significant, and you can get all of them for sort of between £50-75. So I think actually really underrated pedals when you think about how much something like, and Tony pointed this out, how much like a Japanese Boss pedal from certain eras would go for. These are, very reasonably priced for what I think are quite smart, sensible pedals. Particularly the drives. If there was one that I'm going to delve a bit deeper into, because it seems to be more my sort of thing, it's the Ice 9 Overdrive. If there's one negative to this, I would say that it is, well, it's a negative in conjunction with the DS1 style, the Satchurator, which is quite bright. and then this is very warm, and in when you switch between one to the other, it's quite jarring. In conjunction with one another, stacked, it's a fantastic vibe though. So yeah, I think pedals that I'd have never thought to try, I'm really glad I have, because in terms of something you could stick on a pedal board to do a job, these are great because you've basically got two classic flavors, and not only that, but you've got this more button on there, which essentially kicks it into another stage of drive altogether. And so if you have these two on your board, you've essentially got the ability to have like 8 flavors of drive there from just 2 pedals, right? Because you could stack them, you could have them independently, you could have them independently in their more mode, or you could have all of those combinations therein. It's a really clever, I think it's 8, there might be more than that, my math is not good, but really clever stuff. But as I say, if I was to have just one of these, I think it would be this. I did also try them into my Fender Pro Reverb, so you get some idea of how they sound in the room, but let's just jump into the demo. I'm using them into Helix Native. If you want to support the channel, I have this merch, which my friend Jim says is very much a niche thing. If Daddy loves me, why is he always practicing legato? He suggested maybe you should try doing some less controversial merch, so maybe I'm considering that might be a good idea. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on these in the comments if you had them, or other sleeper pedals that maybe people don't really know about or haven't been told about more recently, because of course marketing budget is going to be towards more recent pedals that are in production. I don't think these are made anymore, but really pretty well made, pretty well thought out, and like a lot of Joe Satriani's gear, I think really functional, really decent. Here's a set of pedals that I think predates much of my kind of awareness of pedals and stuff. So Joe Satriani I was definitely a fan of growing up, but I think maybe these might have come out when I was at uni or something, or I wasn't into pedals at all. I think I would have had a Marshall AVT 150 at the time, possibly, or a Mesa Boogie Nomad 45, in which case I was definitely in the channel switching realm. But these are 3 signature Vox pedals for Joe Satriani. My buddy Tony up the road has the full set, as you can see. Let's start with the Time Machine, which I think is somewhat like a Boss DD3. Here's my clean tone. Looks like it mutes whilst you're kind of doing the time change, so you don't get the tap at least. You do get some weird time artifacts like that if you want them. This is in lo-fi mode. Pretty cool sound to that, I think, actually. You've got kind of your shorter chips as well if you want. And then 500. But anyway, that's a delay pedal, right? So we'll leave that for now. Now the Saturator, I believe, is somewhat like a DS1, and as you can see, there is a couple of options here: gain, tone, volume, and what does that say? That's a pad. So gain, volume, tone. That more switch is incredibly useful, right? And this is the type that it's going to clean up quite nicely, I think, because it's not got too many. A lot of gain for some people, I guess. A more usable tone control, I think, than a DS1 as well. Then the Ice 9, I think, more of a kind of SD1 type. Kind of useful, it's got that mid push, but also got a bass control. And again, this more switch. So altogether, the set is really useful. You've got your kind of rhythm tones, chunkier or more. And then you've got your kind of lead. With your kind of more. Modern. think I've got that quite a lot louder. Incredibly useful pedals, I think. If you wanted to clean up that bass a bit, I guess this is the sort of thing you might do. Yeah, I'm really liking that. Just wanted to try in front of my Fender Pro Reverb as well, just to check whether we got any kind of nasty surprises. So this is so like this one's like a proper chunky. And then this one, actually way warmer. And you luckily have this bass control, which can be used to dial in for your specific amp. I don't know quite how much gain we got on this thing.